What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, is cardio necessary? The answer really is it depends, okay? It depends on how you want to achieve your goal. Now, generally speaking, when we bring up cardio, we're talking about weight loss and, in particular, fat loss, okay? So, is cardio necessary? It depends, okay? Cardio is one of the ways you can use to lose weight, but not necessarily lose fat. Let me elaborate on that. So, anytime you do cardio, you are burning calories, okay? And if you enter a state of a caloric deficit, then you start to burn some of your weight off. Now, the thing about cardio, though, is that it does not necessarily burn fat. You could be losing some of your muscle tissue and not necessarily fat. And that's the misconception around cardio, is that if you do cardio, you'll lose fat. Now, losing fat and losing weight are not the same thing. You can lose weight and still be fat. This is why we have the term skinny fat, for example, okay? You can lose weight while maintaining your fat and not having your body be toned or showing your muscularity. So the idea that if you do cardio, you're gonna lose fat, okay, is not entirely true. Yes and no. It really depends on your genetics. It depends on your physiology. It depends on how your body is built to use energy. Okay, it depends on whether your body prioritizes glycogen versus fat, or if your body is just cannibalistic and goes into your muscle tissue. So this really comes down to genetics, but for the most part, yes, you can use cardio to lose weight, but not necessarily burn fat. Okay? Now, the other side of this, when it comes to actually targeting fat, it's gonna be dieting. Okay? And dieting is gonna vary for everyone. No two people are gonna have the exact same dietary needs to lose fat. However, in principle, there's some generalities that can be applied here. One is being in a caloric deficit. And generally speaking, you arrive at your caloric deficit number by determining the caloric needs, okay, for your body weight, figuring out the target weight you want to reach, and cutting down your calories on average by 500 calories a day to lose between half a pound to a pound a week to reach your target weight. Now, caloric deficit is one part of it. The other part is the combo of carbs to fats. Now, generally speaking, again, a keto-based diet works very, very well for fat loss. And the reason for that is that you are cutting down your carbs and sugar intake significantly, okay? It's a very low consumption of carbs and sugars to not, while maintaining your fat intake. Now, the reason that with a high protein intake, obviously, the reason this works is because when you have low carb and sugar or glycogen intake, all right, your body resorts to burning the other calorie-based intake, and in this case is going to be fat and protein. So if you're consuming straight up fat, what's going to happen to that fat is that it's going to spare a lot of your protein because of slowing down the digestion, but a lot of that fat isn't going to get stored up within your tissue. Instead, it's going to get burnt up for energy, and in the process, of burning that fat up for energy combined with a caloric deficit, you are doing a double take when it comes to fat burning. So you're burning the fat you're consuming from your diet, but also you're burning the fat on your frame. So again, sticking to generalities here, you are gonna be in a caloric deficit. You are going to consume low to none carbs and sugars, aka glycogen within your body storage, and you're going to consume high fat and high protein. All right. Now, the next thing you want to do, other than the diet, is actually implement resistance training. Okay. And the reason for that is anytime you add on muscle tissue or muscle weight, your muscles are consuming a larger amount of energy, so it ends up burning fat. Okay, so you're gonna do weightlifting, and I've already covered in other uploads weightlifting, so I'm not gonna get into it. But anytime you implement resistance training, by default you're gonna burn fat because your metabolic rate goes up from the increased muscle mass, and you end up burning more calories. Okay, so to conclude this upload, it is much more effective to combine caloric deficit with a diet like keto, as well as resistance training to lose fat, versus doing cardio, which while it does guarantee losing weight, you're not necessarily losing fat. Now, you can also combine the cardio with the dieting in terms of caloric deficit and low carbs and sugars, and resistance training to enhance your results. Now, the thing to be careful about though is that when you're already in a caloric deficit and you have a low carb intake and you do cardio, you can actually speed up your muscle tissue breakdown. Okay, so overall, while you're going to be losing weight and losing fat, you're also losing muscle as part of the process. So something to be cognizant about. If you're doing cardio out of the zone 2 cardio, as well as cardio more than 10 minutes, especially if it's a high intensity like sprints, for example, I just be careful. In particular, if you're going to do hours on end of long distance cardio running like 5 miles or more, there's a reason why sprinters have more muscle mass versus long distance runners. Okay, and there's also over the years have been results on the detrimental effects of long distance running on heart health, but that's for different upload. Okay, so conclusion is, you don't need to do cardio to lose weight. If you do cardio to lose weight, be cognizant that you're not necessarily losing fat. It is much more effective and better to be in a caloric deficit. Pursue a diet low in carbs and sugars, such as keto, combined with resistance training, which increases muscle mass or muscular tissue, and in effect metabolic rate, therefore burning more fat. Okay, this is really at a high level why cardio isn't necessarily the best way to burn fat, okay, but a good way to lose weight regardless. All right, and by the way, this is just stuff that I picked up over the years from being a gym rat, not a professional here in terms of nutrition or training. So just take this as high level guidance and do your own research and homework to confirm or invalidate what I said. But it has personally worked for me. I know a few people that this has worked for. And if you're a cardio addict, listen, do your own thing. I get it. The runner's high of the thing. I get a high from lifting weights. So I understand that runner's high and entering the Zen state. Just be cognizant of the fact that you're not necessarily losing fat. You're just losing weight. Okay? With that said, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. As per usual, very much appreciate your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.